So let's start with the biggest media story of the day, 60 Minutes, something very unusual last night. Now, this is a long clip, but Lara Logan, at the end of 60 Minutes last night, actually apologized for a story that they had reported on October 27 about Benghazi. Here is Lara Logan.
We end our broadcast tonight with a correction on a story we reported October 27th about the attack on the American Special Mission compound in Benghazi, in which Ambassador Chris Stevens and 3 other Americans were killed. In the story, a security officer working for the State Department, Dylan Davies, told us he went to the compound during the attack and detailed his role that night. After our report aired, questions arose about whether his account was true when an incident report surfaced. It told a different story about what he did the night of the attack. Davies denied having anything to do with that incident report and insisted the story he told us was not only accurate, it was the same story he told the FBI when they interviewed him. On Thursday night, when we discovered the account he gave the FBI was different than what he told us, we realized we had been misled, and it was a mistake to include him in our report. For that, we are very sorry. The most important thing to every person at 60 Minutes is the truth. And the truth is, we made a mistake.
Very unusual, first of all, for 60 Minutes to admit they made a mistake. How often does that happen?
I mean, everybody right now is thinking of 2004 when Dan Rather came forth with these documents about George W. Bush's National Guard service. That's the last time anybody can really think of like this huge bombshell type of revelation coming from a 60 Minutes story. So it's a really big deal. It's also incredibly embarrassing. I mean, now this guy's book is going to be pulled, and the book is being published by actually a company that's owned by CBS, Simon & Schuster. So it's a huge embarrassment for CBS as a company.
What happens? Dan Rather was fired. Well, he eventually lost his job.
Right. A lot of people are asking those questions. I mean, Dan Rather was not technically fired.
Correct.
And it was not immediately after what happened. But
it was the beginning of the end.
It was the beginning. I don't see this as the beginning of the end for Lara Logan. She's young. She's popular. She does do good work. And unlike Dan Rather, who to this day is standing behind the story of George W. Bush's military service, Lara Logan has come out already, as we've seen now, and says this was wrong. We were misled. But it does bring up a lot of questions of how does CBS and 60 Minutes follow a story like this for a full year, as they say they did, and still somehow within the span of 2 weeks have the story fall apart.
And it raises a question for me, too. I mean, she says there in her apology, after our broadcast, there were stories, there were suspicions, and there were rumors about Dylan Davies. We all had heard before their broadcast, and they either missed it or ignored it. What does this mean for 60 Minutes? And what does it mean for the Republicans who cited the 60 Minutes broadcast as proof that we were right about Benghazi? And now 60 Minutes says they're wrong. Will Republicans say they're wrong?